Will sat down and began to open up in a way viewers did not expect. What started as a simple moment about playing basketball quickly turned into one of the most surprising conversations on Love and Marriage Huntsville. The scene moved from sports to family, and then to something even deeper. This moment revealed things many people did not know about Will, and it also showed how he deals with questions that usually make people nervous. As the conversation went on, it became clear that this was not just about a man who loves basketball. This was about a man who has lived many different lives, built connections with different women, and raised children in ways that the cast and the audience are still trying to understand. Will explained that basketball was his first love. He talked about how he played the sport at a young age and how it became a big part of his life as he grew older. He is 6'5", and the woman talking to him joked that it would be a waste if he did not play. But for Will, the ball is more than just a sport. He said the basketball reminds him to slow down, take a break, and enjoy life. He works a lot, and the ball is the thing that tells him to stop and pay attention to the simple moments, especially with his children. From there, the question came that shifted the whole direction of the conversation. She asked him about his kids. That was the moment he admitted he has 4 children. But what surprised her most was what he said next. He has 4 kids with 4 different women. The youngest is 6 years old, and he has never been married. He said he was engaged once, but he never made it down the aisle. This is where the topic turned personal. She wanted to understand how a man could have 4 children, 4 women, and no marriage in between. Will said each relationship was different and had its own path. According to him, nothing happened the same way. Every situation had its own reason. But even with that answer, it did not explain everything. The real question was whether he believed in marriage at all. That question made him shift a little. He said marriage exists, but he sees more people getting out of marriages than getting into them. He talked about fear, commitment, and how some people avoid long-term promises. Then he said something that made the moment even more interesting. He said, "I will commit to the right person or persons." The way he used the word persons made her pause. She needed to know what he meant. But Will made it clear he is not into any type of poly relationship. No polyamorous setup. No sharing. He said he does not like to share anyone he is with. He blamed it on being an only child and said it gives him a habit of not wanting to share. The conversation shifted again because she wanted to move to the next topic. She suggested the next date they should go on, but Will said he had a few questions for her. He told her he is an open book. He promised he would not lie, but he also said he might not volunteer the whole truth unless the right questions are asked. That line stood out because it showed how he handles real conversations. He said if she asks the right question, she will get the right answer. That means Will does not hide, but he also does not offer details unless someone brings it up first. Then she brought up Martell. She said Martell made a comment about Will and called him the hit it and quit it type of man. That changed the energy of the moment because it pulled Martell back into the story. Will responded by asking if she listens to everything Martell says. He said Martell used to be the homie. They worked out together, joked around, and talked about different things. Will said a lot of things during those moments were jokes and nonsense. The hit it and quit it comment, according to him, came from all the joking the men did together. But she made it clear that she was not talking about some fun chat between guys. She said this comment came from a men's outing, not from random jokes. He brushed it off, but she wanted to be sure she understood what kind of man he really is. So she pushed the conversation forward by talking about asking the guys about him. This is when things took another unexpected turn. She started talking about the guys she already knew, Lance, Dalen, and then Twan. That was the moment where Huntsville once again proved how small it really is. Will said his homeboy Antoine came up in the conversations. When she said she knew Twan too, Will looked confused and wanted to know how she knew him. She said Tuan once served as her bodyguard for an event, but they were also good friends. She said they go way back, all the way to 2002. Will could not hide the surprise in his face. He needed to understand what she meant when she said Tuan was her bodyguard. He wanted to know if she meant personal bodyguard or event bodyguard. She repeated that Huntsville is too small, and these connections make things confusing and uncomfortable. She said Huntsville feels like everyone knows everyone, and there is no degree of separation. Everything seems to overlap in ways that make relationships harder to handle. Will then added his own joke about business lunches. She said she and Tuan once had a business lunch, but Will joked that this is how he ended up with 4 kids. He joked that all those relationships began as business lunches, but behind the joke, there was an uncomfortable reality. It showed that Will has a past full of different relationships that turned into real connections and children. And also knows other people like Ken and the land, made everything feel tight and overlapping. There was no way to avoid the reality that Huntsville is small, and everyone knows everyone. The mix of friendships, past relationships, family situations, and rumors creates a web that becomes hard to escape. At that point, she said she needed to go, but Will did not want the moment to feel tense. He asked if she had fun. She said she did. She told him every time she spends time with him, it is always a good time. But then she added something he did not expect. She said he disappears like Cinderella. Will laughed, but she continued by saying she might disappear from Huntsville altogether. She said she needs space, and the drama in the city is becoming too much. Will playfully told her she needs Huntsville, but there was a deeper message in that line. He was trying to keep the connection open, but she was thinking about all the confusion that comes from living in a small town where every connection circles back. It is clear that the overlapping relationships, past history, and constant drama make it hard for anyone to move forward without running into someone from their past. From the start of the scene to the end, the conversation went in many directions, but the main point stayed the same. Will was explaining who he is, how he lives, and how he thinks. His 4 children with 4 different women became the center of the story, not because of judgment, but because of the reality of his past choices. It showed a man who has lived without marriage, without long-lasting commitments, and without the type of stable structure many people expect. But it also showed that he is honest about it, even if he does not always say everything out loud, unless someone asks the right question. The scene also showed how the cast members react when their lives overlap more than they expected. The shock of realizing that old friends, bodyguards, workout partners, and past connections all tie back together added another layer to the story. It made the moment heavier and more complex. When Will said he sees more people leaving marriages than entering them, it reflected the mindset of someone who has watched relationships fall apart over and over. It also showed why he might not believe in marriage as strongly as others do. Even though he has never been married, he has been in 4 major relationships that resulted in children. That alone shows he has lived through many emotional paths. His line about committing to the right person or persons left a lot of unanswered questions. It made people wonder what he truly believes in. Is he unsure about traditional relationships? Is he afraid of long-term commitment? Or has he simply seen too many things fail to trust the process? Another key moment was when he said he does not lie, but does not volunteer information unless asked. That one statement explained his whole personality. Will is not the type to hide anything, but he will not bring up details unless someone asks directly. It shows why people might misunderstand him. It also shows why rumors spread fast around him. When a man does not always give full answers unless someone presses him, people fill the empty spaces with their own ideas. When Martel's name entered the conversation, the tone changed. Will and Martel once had a friendship that involved jokes, workouts, and guy talk. But statements made during those moments have now become sources of confusion. It shows how fast things shift on Love and Marriage Huntsville. Something said in fun can come back in a serious moment and change how people see each other. The small town dynamic played a huge role too. Huntsville is a place where relationships, friendships, past connections, and secrets move in circles. Tuan being her bodyguard, knowing Will, knowing other men in the group, and having shared history made everything complicated. It became clear that nothing stays separate in Huntsville. Everything comes back around. The ending of the scene showed how much pressure she was feeling. She said she might disappear from Huntsville, not because of Will, but because of the tight web of connections. Will tried to lighten the mood, but she was already mentally walking away from all the overlapping stories. This moment from Love and Marriage Huntsville was heavy with truth, confusion, humor, and tension. It revealed how complicated relationships can become when past and present keep touching each other. It also showed how Will has lived, how he sees family, how he sees marriage, and how he sees his place in the cast. As viewers watched, they saw a man who has 4 children with 4 women, a man who avoids marriage but values his kids, a man who jokes through tension, and a man who has ties that spread across the whole town. They also saw a woman trying to understand him, trying to get clear answers, and trying to avoid getting caught in the small town web. Every part of this conversation added something new. It showed emotional truths, personal histories, and confusing ties. It revealed how people judge, how rumors start, and how fast things can change in Huntsville. And most of all, it showed how real life does not follow clean lines. It follows the messy paths people take, the choices they make, and the relationships they build, even when they do not last.